My Christian motivation when it feels like God is quiet, when God seems silent. It can be easy to feel like our faith is wavering. We start to question whether He's really there, whether He cares about what we're going through. We feel like we're walking in darkness, with no direction or guidance. And when we're in that place, it can be hard to find the motivation to keep going, to keep trusting, to keep believing. But here's the thing, we're not alone. There are so many examples in the Bible of people who felt like God was silent, who felt like they were disconnected from Him. And yet, they persevered. They kept trusting, they kept believing, and they kept seeking Him, even when it felt like He was nowhere to be found. One of those people is Job. Oh, Job! His story is one of incredible triumph in the face of unimaginable suffering. He lost everything, his family, his health, his possessions, and yet, he refused to curse God. He refused to give up on his faith, even when God seemed silent. And in the end, God revealed Himself to Job in a way that was more intimate and more powerful than Job could have ever imagined. Another example is David. David, the king of Israel, the man after God's own heart. He wrote so many of the Psalms, pouring out his heart to God in times of joy and in times of sorrow. But even David felt like God was silent at times. He wrote about feeling abandoned, about feeling like God was hiding His face from him. But he didn't give up. He kept seeking God, kept crying out to Him, even when it felt like God wasn't responding. When we're in those times of silence, it can be easy to feel like God is absent, like He's not working in our lives. But the truth is, He's always working. Even when we can't see it, He's always guiding us, always directing us. Even when we can't feel His presence, one of the most powerful insights I've ever had about God's silence is that it can be a time of growth, a time of reflection, a time of deeper trust. When we're forced to rely on our faith, rather than our feelings, we can experience a depth of intimacy with God that we never knew was possible. We can learn to trust Him. Even when we can't see Him, even when we can't hear Him, we can learn to trust that God is always working, always guiding, always directing. Even when we can't see it, we can learn to trust that He's got a plan that's bigger and better than anything we could ever imagine. And we can learn to rest in that trust, to rest in the knowledge that He's got us, no matter what. So let's summarize what we've talked about today. When God seems silent, it's easy to feel like our faith is wavering, like we're all alone in our struggles. But the truth is, we're not alone. We have the example of biblical heroes like Job and David, who persevered even when God seemed silent. We have the truth that God is always working, always guiding, always directing, even when we can't see it. And we have the promise that He's always with us, always for us, always working everything out for our good.